This is public safety meeting for month of March. All these meetings happen on the first Monday of the month. And this is at this location. I believe the next few meetings are going to be at Davis Hall, but they are all hybrid meetings to, have active participation from our stakeholders. At this time, I think we got a pretty packed agenda here. And I understand from Sergeant John Weinkoop that Deputy Chief Kaladi may be tied up in another meeting at the present time. So John is going to take the very first item that relates with the City of College Park data sharing and answer any question that our stakeholders may have. John Weinkoop, the floor is yours.
Thank you.
You want a microphone or?
All right, if you give us a second, we'll get the data up on the screen for you.
Okay. Okay. It was just up there. Sorry, guys.
All right, if you look at the first page, the crime mapping, we had one commercial robbery, we had one citizen robbery, 3 assaults, 1 commercial burglary, 4 theft from autos, 13 other thefts, and 7 stolen autos for the month of February. We'll go to the next.
Can I ask where those stolen autos were? Did they come from one particular area? Or just all over?
On the stolen autos, it's been here on the lower end and more so Old Town for most of the, well, the stolen autos have been more Old Town. Theft from autos have been Cherry Hill, Baltimore Avenue, along Knox. The theft from autos has been spread out. Okay, on the next slide, you'll see we had a commercial armed robbery, which was here in Old Town of the Verizon store. And then we had a citizen robbery in the Lakeland area. They both were armed. Nobody got hurt during it. They are currently under investigation. We had 3 assaults. On the 3 assaults, they were, 1 was an acquaintance and 2 was strangers. 1 was here by the Looney's nightclub. Next slide. We had 1 burglary. That was up in the northern area near Hollywood. And then, if you go to the next slide, Sharon. As you see the indications, here's the theft from autos. As I said, they're all spread throughout along the Baltimore Avenue corridor, Cherry Hill, by the Home Depot parking lot, and you had a couple down in Old Town. Actual auto thefts were more concentrated down here towards Old Town, the shopping center area around Hartwick, and we had 1 up north. This is just a heat map showing where the noise complaints were for the month of February. As you see, we always have a large concentration here down towards Old Town, but we were in Berwyn and Hollywood and even in College Park Woods for noise complaints this month.
Can I ask you a question? When you get one of these noise complaints, what happens?
Well, when we respond with code, and code will take a reading. And once a reading is taken, they'll make a decision on how many times a person's been cited or if they've gotten a warning, and then a judgment of how much the party is disturbing the community, a citation can be issued.
So the noise, I'm sorry.
It's 55 decibels at night and 65 during the day, I think, in front of you.
Yes, that is correct.
The noise complaints are only for parties, not from vehicles, like,
No, ma'am,
Okay.
not the vehicles. We are enforcing traffic on loud exhaust systems, and we document that in our weekly reports on our traffic stops and everything, that we are writing EROs, which is equipment repair orders, for people to unmodify their exhaust, and they are getting citations for it. And we've been cracking down on that for probably a little over a year now, that we even are keeping statistic data on how many citations we write for that. The next, you'll just see the quality of life heat map of just basic complaints all through the city. And then the next page is, we'll show where we've been conducting traffic stops. We've increased in the actual communities and inside the neighborhoods. Last couple meetings, a lot of people were concerned that we were just doing the Baltimore Avenue corridor. We've been inside Hollywood, inside Berwyn, doing stop sign enforcement. We've been doing loud exhaust enforcement, light enforcement, and we have been enforcing the U-turn violations that people asked us to start looking at along Baltimore Avenue. So we've completed a lot of traffic enforcement as the city requested.
What are those U-turns on Baltimore Avenue? What's the problem there?
It's failed to obey traffic control device.
That's what?
It's posted signs saying no U-turns.
Oh, okay.
And when you're making a U-turn, some of these cars can't turn, so they're having to pull up, back up, and they're delaying traffic.
Yeah, but one of the biggest problems that's causing this is somebody decided to put that concrete median in on the route there. Where we used to be able to say, go into Denny's, by going up to Denny's and turning left, you go in there, we can't do that anymore. We have to go up to the next intersection and make a U-turn. And the intersection is not very big, so you gotta get, to make the U-turn.
I completely understand, but I have no control of that.
I don't understand how all this stuff is supposed to be helping us. That was my problem.
That comes to engineering, not not policing.
They're out of business, okay.
No, I think it's an appropriate question for Steve Halpern, and we can get you if there is a specific intersection that we're talking about, we can see as a state highway.
Yeah, it is, and as I understand it, they're going to, and they were supposed to anyway, they haven't done anything in the last year or two, but they were going to continue putting in that concrete median all the way up to the Beltway. Which means anybody, if you're really going north and you want to get to anybody on the other side there, you've got to go make a U-turn someplace at one of the intersections.
So, David, I'll be honest with you. I think Baltimore Avenue is a state highway. It will be a conversation between the engineering team at SHA level as well as city level. Those are the two people who will probably design the decision. If you have a specific interaction, just shoot me an email,
Okay.
and I'll get you connected with them.
Thank you, sir.
All right, next one. This is just a monthly comparison. On the next slide, we'll actually show the stats for the month, but you'll see where it is. And as I said in the very beginning, that's just a list. We'll leave it up there for a couple minutes for you to see it. But that's the issues we had for the month of February. And then on the theft from autos, I will say this, and on the shoplifting, we actually were able to, there, through the investigation, 2 warrants were obtained and the subjects were arrested. And during one of the shopliftings, officers made it there and took the person into custody on scene. And that concludes the monthly crime report. If anyone has questions.
If there is anybody on the online here remotely, if they had any question about this report. Questions?
Ms. Hartnett.
Ms. Hartnett.
A violent crime indicates that someone was injured in the crime, as opposed to just, they took money, they took their wallet, they took their scooter, that they actually, injured the person. Is that what violent means?
Well, they displayed a handgun, therefore it's a violent crime, but nobody was injured on either of them, as I said when I first addressed it. There was no injuries to it.
But there was like a threat of injury, and that's why it's violent?
There was a display of a handgun, and that makes it violent.
Okay, thank you.
May I have like a comment, I guess?
Sure.
So I'm here because I'd like to address the growing concerns, and I already spoke to Officer, remind me,
Sergeant Weinkoop.
Weincoop about this. Sure. So I'm here to express a growing concern about auto theft and vehicle vandalism in our community. I've had 2 vehicles vandalized. One was very recent. It occurred on Sunday where someone tried to break into my vehicle and broke off the driver's side door. And I have video of someone stopping, and my assumption is 2 people committing this crime, someone trying to attempt to break into the car, and they did not. They were unsuccessful. But I've also had a vehicle stolen out of my driveway, and within 6 weeks after that vehicle was stolen, I had another vehicle vandalized where someone came and shot a BB gun or some type of pellet gun, but I had to, that was a lot within 6 weeks. And multiple auto vandalisms and theft has occurred on the 7500 block of Edmonston Road in the College Park Estates community. And I have spoken, obviously, to many police officers who have come to help my neighbors who have had their airbags removed or stolen out of their vehicles, and or having their vehicles broken into, windows smashed, things just taken off out of their trucks. But what I would like to know is what the community is going to do in order to help us, because there is a sense of, lack of security and stability. It causes insecurity for many of our community members. Unfortunately, I'm the only one who was able to show up to this meeting today. I did speak to my, neighbors, so I'm here representing people on the 7500 block of Edmonston Road. But these incidents are not isolated. They're impacting all the residents' financial stability, sense of safety, and trust in our neighborhoods. For many of us, our vehicle is not a luxury. We need that for everyday living, childcare, and getting to work. So, the repeated theft and auto vandalism is eroding our sense of safety and stability. And our car insurance. My premiums have increased because of these thefts and break-ins. So it's just frustrating, and many of us feel helpless. So I know that our community pours millions of dollars of our tax dollars into the county's police department, yet we're lacking, again, the safety and stability. When even this past Sunday when the police officer arrived to my home, you know, I was feeling so helpless as I was talking to him, because I understand that all these officers are probably very jaded from the continued auto theft. It's nothing new to them. These things happen to them probably on every day where they have to answer those calls. But individually, it's still very hurtful, you know, and just causes instability. So it's not helpful when they say, like, you kind of got to get over it. These things are common. Especially when we do things to remove items out of our cars. Like, I have 3 kids, all under the age of 6, and I want to be able to feel safe in my community, let my children play in their yard, and I don't feel that way. So what I am proposing is to have improved street lighting. We already have a sidewalk. Unfortunately, many people do not use that sidewalk. They still walk along the side of the cars. I don't understand it. It drives me crazy. But I'm also would like to propose maybe some type of camera infrastructure in this area where, you know, there's some type of surveillance, because it's constantly happening. And maybe not in the last month's report, it's not being reflected, but this has been a continued problem in my community, or at least on our block, for the last 3.5 years. So I'm respectfully asking the council to evaluate these areas so that we can create some prevention strategies, and possibly consider allocating some resources towards the deterrence of vehicle theft and vandalism. And yeah, I just think that we need a coordinated effort. There needs to be a coordinated effort between the city leadership, law enforcement, and obviously our residents, so that we can reduce these crimes and strengthen our community, you know, the sense of safety and security. And that's it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for bringing that to my attention. And as far as for the College Park contract, now that we know about it and the information that you gave me, we will increase our patrols in your community and along Edmonston Road. We've been hitting deeper inside the community. As I said, we do set up radar and we do stop sign enforcement on Edmonston Road. We're out there all through the night, and I assure you this, you'll see more of us out there, but we do have unmarked cars as well. So, like I said,
Can we put a bait car out there? I would love to have a bait car.
we will increase our patrols through your community and see if we can coordinate and get some more things done. Without you telling us, we don't know every little thing.
Yeah.
And I will speak with the other contract officers, and we'll increase our patrols in your area.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't know if this is working. Okay, my name is Maria Cordoni. I live on Edmonston Road. I'm right up the street from you. I'm in the Yarrow section. I would like to talk with you afterwards, because we have gathered, our board has gotten together, and we want to meet with the College Park Estates, and I've talked with Tom, who is your president, and I asked him to come for a meeting. So I'd like to talk with you after that, and maybe we can do a concerted effort there and build something there.
Absolutely.
Okay? What is your name?
Varsha Patel.
Varsha. Thank you, Varsha.
Thank you, and thank you so much for coming. Very quickly, you also mentioned about 2 other things the city can actually look into. The one is the street lighting. So we can ask our city engineer to look into. We have some budget, some money in the budget to put additional lights on the streets. So they can investigate if that is a possibility. And plus, you also mentioned about the camera system. So we are going to roll out a camera subsidy program, so you can buy actually cameras and put on on your house, and the city can pay off on some part of it. So we're rolling out that very soon. Actually, we have discussed already. Thank you.
Ms. Lugo?
Yes, good evening. Maria, and I'm sorry, person who was talking previously. When you all get together, I have a few ideas also that you can do immediately. If I could be invited to that meeting, I would appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim. I don't see any more hands that want to talk about this specifics of this report that Sergeant Weinkoop shared with everyone. At this time, I would like to move on to our second item here, and that is stop sign monitoring system presentation. I have their sales executive, Avio, the vendor that is in process of establishing the system. With no further delay, I would request Craig Price to take the floor and share what he has.
Oh, you want me to try?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. There you go. And okay, just get this out of the way.
Gives it's a map of the current stop sign camera locations. Clicker. Just
These are the current locations, the ones that are going to talk about.
okay.
Current location.
Every
These are the current.
system's different.
Yes.
I didn't realize there was one on Calvin Road. Oh, yeah. I go down that way. I'm a block away from there.
Right next to the church. It's right next to the church, on the corner of the church, on Calvert Road.
Your church?
The St. Andrew's Church?
No, that's the other one. So
Oh.
we're just talking about Calvert Road.
Oh,
Could
Calvert,
you all
sorry.
please hold your thoughts? I think let's
Yes,
get the
sorry.
presentation done, and we will give everyone an opportunity after he's done to ask any questions.
Hi, good evening. My name is Craig Price. I'm the sales executive for Avio. Our program director, Wade Borman, was supposed to be here, but he had to be double booked at council meetings. So he normally would do this presentation, and he handles all operational questions. So I'll try my best to answer anything that comes out. If not, I'll make sure that I take the question down and get you an answer first thing in the morning as possible. Okay, sure. What I'd like to do is, because I wasn't sure who was going to be in the audience, give just a general overview of who we are, our company, what you can expect from us, details about the program here in College Park, and then I'll go into a Q&A session. And I know there was a list of questions that was asked initially that we answered, but if I can give any more detail to that, I will. Again, Avio, we're a California-based company, but we literally have kind of pioneered stop sign monitoring in PG County. So we worked endlessly, and we were very instrumental in passing the current legislation in 2024 for stop sign monitoring in PG County and now Tacoma Park and in Baltimore. Currently, and this number continues to change, so we can't update the slides fast enough, but right now we're 75, 70, 80 plus cameras deployed, most of them within 10 plus municipalities in Maryland, with the heaviest concentration within PG County, because PG County was at the forefront of the stop sign legislation being passed. What we have seen and what our focus is yes, there are violations and citations that come from any sort of automated traffic enforcement. Our goal is, we truly believe that all traffic fatalities, crashes, violations, and behaviors can change and are preventable. So what we've seen since we've deployed our systems, 200,000 plus citations within our clients, but driving a 65 to 80% reduction in unsafe stop sign running and that behavior that we see within our communities. The one thing that we have seen from data, most of the violations don't come from people that actually live within that community where the stop sign camera is. It is people cutting through, it's people from other places commuting through the area, cutting through neighborhoods, cutting through school zones that we find are the most egregious violators. So yes, it's there to help change the behavior. And some behaviors, it'll just be the violation as well. But we want to make your community safer as we roll out these camera systems and start the enforcement. One, it's now started a national movement because every community that I go into as a sales executive face the same problems, right, of unsafe drivers, unsafe behaviors, and ultimately traffic crashes and fatalities that come along with those things. But we're driving stop sign enforcement within the state of Maryland. Was just in Montgomery County last week, talking to multiple agencies that are running into the same thing and want to deploy stop sign. And now crosswalk monitoring and legislation. There's current bills within Montgomery County for crosswalk enforcement, as well as in PA, Maryland, North Carolina, Rhode Island, Delaware, Connecticut, and we just acquired a new client in Pueblo, Colorado. So yes, we've been very focused on PG County, but this is not a Maryland-only problem, for sure. So the unique difference for our solution is, one, our poles look different. So we work with our community partners and agencies to custom wrap, and we do this based upon a lot of different designs, as well as we've even done colors of the city seal, school zones, school mascot colors, because we want it to be, one, visible. This is not a gotcha. We're not trying to just put boxes up and send out citations. This is about making the public and citizens aware that there is a camera here, but it's also to make you aware that there's a stop sign, there's a crosswalk, and to obey the law. Stop, look both ways, be safe, protect the citizens, protect your neighbors. And so we make it very, very visible. The other great thing, it's solar powered. It deploys quickly, it deploys easily. It doesn't take up a lot of real estate through the community. There's no long-term construction, anything like that. So we deploy very, very quickly within weeks. So as soon as we have contract signed, we deploy. And this is basically what it would look like within your neighborhood. You probably have seen these already as you drive, not only in College Park, but in other places. But along with this becomes kind of our citizen engagement plan. So wrapping the poles this way, making them colorful, making them visible is all part of our strategy of changing the behavior positively. Oops, the wrong way. So we are proud to be the leading partner and vendor within PG County. So these are just some of our current clients that we work with. So Berwyn Heights, Colmar Manor, Capitol Heights, Tacoma Park, now College Park, and we're continuing to grow. Not only with stop sign monitoring cameras, but one of the unique differentiators for our system versus other vendors is we detect multiple behaviors with a single camera. So we have people that start out as stop sign monitoring for us, but we can do stop sign speed, distracted drivers, anything from our one camera. So one, it's beneficial, one, it becomes more efficient, and two, it changes, we can look at the entire behavior subset within people within their vehicles in traffic automated enforcement, not just, hey, there's a camera and we only do stop sign. So for the future, as your program grows and you detect other behaviors or other issues that you want to address, you can use our single cameras. You don't have to deploy cameras everywhere to have that done. Freeze on me? Sorry. So this is something that we say in every meeting. It's a constant problem. not only in PG County, but in Montgomery County, every county in the state of Maryland, as well as in other states. It's just an issue as we grow, more people on the roads, more people traveling, more people in a hurry. It becomes an ongoing issue within the community. And now through positive legislation, it allows the community to do enforcement on these type of behaviors where before you were only maybe doing speed and red light cameras, right? So, and then in this area, there's been numerous tragedies around school zone and people blowing through school zones, blowing through stop signs, and fatalities that went along with that. So that's our goal from an organization and company standpoint, is to help you within College Park address these issues and change the behaviors, not only within the people that live here, but the people that commute and drive through your area. So we're very proud of this. So you can see this is, it's a busy graph, but I'll explain it. So this is deployment in early 2025, and you can see kind of the volume of citations and violations that we have, and then what should happen and positively happen over the course as you have your cameras and locations deployed, you should see a change in that behavior. So as you can tell, and you can look at the numbers of 1,400 or plus violations over a period of 4 or 5 months, the behavior changes. Okay, some of that is, yes, there's a financial burden that comes along with the violation and citation, but also I think it's the difference of people seeing it, people being aware of it, people slowing down, people coming to full stops, and that ultimately changes the behavior. Oh, I'm sorry, I thought. So as you can see, 65% reduction in violations over that period of time, 4 months within a program going live, but also we generated $1.6 million across 7 towns, and based upon the legislation in the state of Maryland, all of those funds need to be, and proceeds go back into public safety. So they can't be diverted into other things. So again, it's a self-perpetuating solution that helps not only change the behavior, make it safe, but also give you more revenue and generate more revenue to address other public safety concerns that you may have. So based upon, it's not our decision, it's the legislation in Maryland, all proceeds that are generated from this automated traffic enforcement goes into the public safety fund for each area. Okay, and as you can see, just graph perspective, right? Low, medium, and high. So the red is the most egregious violations that we see, and that could be completely blowing through stop signs to, down in the blue, someone comes to a slow stop but doesn't come to a complete stop. And what we do is we customize and work with each agencies to determine what those violations and tolerances are going to be. Because a violation to us, a violation is you do not come to a complete stop. We go by the letter of the law. That doesn't necessarily mean that triggers a violation. So we work with each one of our community partners to determine what is going to be a violation in College Park. What is a violation in College Park may not be the same definition of a violation in Berwyn Heights in other areas, right? That's really customized to how you want to treat your citizens and the community. But to us and our solution, we go by the law. The camera detects a true violation. So it doesn't matter, hey, I came to a rolling stop, or I kind of slowed down and I tapped my brakes and went through the stop sign. Why am I getting a violation? That all depends on how you decide to customize your program. Okay. I was talking to Rockville PD last week, and we were going through stats, and they had roughly 3,000 violations in January for a certain camera solution. And I said, well, how many total violations did you have? You had 3,000 violations, but how many events did you have? 22,000. That was 22,000 people running a stop sign or running a red light collectively within their county. Only 3,000 violations were sent out, and that seems like a lot, 3,000. But when you take and go, you actually had 21,000 unsafe events happening through different intersections around the community. It gives you a different perspective of we need to change behaviors in every area, and that's our goal, to work with you guys. Did we lose? Okay, there we go. Okay, so I know when we did some initial traffic data and monitoring in the 5 intersections, we were coming up with an average of 2,200 violations per day across the 5 intersections within College Park. So that's a kind of a mind-blowing stat when you think about it, but a lot of traffic. Here's the thing that ultimately we're trying to change. 79% of all vehicles daily were violating the traffic law. So our goal is, yes, there's 2,200 violations potentially that could be sent out. Our goal is this number needs to change drastically over a period of time. It is the awareness, but it is the behavior too that we need to change, because you're in your community, you're out enjoying, you said, hey, I want to walk on my sidewalk, I want to walk through intersections, I want to feel safe. This is an area that can be addressed across through the 5 intersections to make the citizens of College Park safer. Yes, sir.
Question, 79% of all vehicles daily
That came through these intersections
came through the intersections. They did not stop.
had some sort, what to the letter of the law, doesn't mean they would have gotten a violation, but they did not come to a complete stop.
They didn't come to a complete stop. That's about 80% of the vehicles going through there don't come to a complete stop.
Correct.
I can't remember any intersection I ever saw in College Park that had those kind of numbers.
Well, here's the great,
Maybe they were 25 to 30%, but nowhere near 80%.
now, keep in mind, they could slow down, it could appear to be a stop, but that's not what the legislation,
Is there a time limit when the vehicle stops before it starts up again to move across the intersection that is considered a stop?
David,
hold your thought, we will answer this.
Yeah.
Let me finish.
yeah.
We'll come back. Okay.
So our total solution is not just about setting up cameras. So one, we have a program called Let's Drive Safer. We have a specific there's 2 portals that we use for all of our clients. One is a private portal for the police department to go in, review video data, review a potential citation and ultimately, or potential violation, and then issue and approve the violation. On the other side of that, we have a community portal. And this where we not only work through collective awareness, right, for the community to, one, understand that there are cameras being deployed. So we are in your warning period now. So we've deployed cameras, and they're now, we're not sending out citations. I think that starts March 16th, correct, here locally? So to date, and I had to get the correct stats, there's been 207 warning letters sent out of what would be considered a violation. We are not issuing violations. We're not issuing fines around it, but it's just a warning period to the community saying, hey, there is a camera here, and oh, by the way, on this date and time, you did not come to a full stop. We have a citizens portal. So you can, as a citizen, when you do get your warning letter or eventually get your citation, you can go right to the portal. You can look at your video of your vehicle and exactly why you received what would be considered a violation within College Park. Okay, that does a couple things. It's great awareness, right? Of, hey, once I see my vehicle and what, because I think I stop. And I can tell you I've spent now 17 years of my career in public safety. selling and supporting first responders and law enforcement. This is my first stint in 17 years in automatic traffic enforcement. So when I started with the company, I was like, I come to a full stop at every time. No, I didn't. Right? Now I'm very conscious of when I see a stop sign coming to a full stop or red lights or intersections, right? So I had to change my own behavior when I joined the company because I became more aware of it. That's part of this collective awareness through signage, through wrapping our poles, through having our citizen portal is awareness of this is the behavior, this is your behavior now, and ultimately we'd like for you to change it and become safer as we go through. Two, then, right, tech-powered accountability. So one, solar-powered, it's easy, it deploys quickly, it's self-sufficient, and we have a local Maryland team that does monitoring 24/7. So the solution will be efficient, and it'll always be up and running for the agency without any issues. And then ultimately, right, community action, which is ensuring engagement and participation. So we've done a lot, and we continue to do a lot around this angle within all of the communities that are our current agencies. We go to school board meetings, we go to events, we sponsor different things. One, so people know, hey, we're here to help. We're just not here to fine, and we're not here to just send out violations. We're really here to support the safety within each one of our partner citizens group, as well as the community as well. Because I'm a Maryland resident. Everybody that works for Avio, which outside of the people that work in the headquarters, the majority of our team now are Maryland residents. So we live in the communities that we are enforcing in, right? And so we want our communities to be safe in Maryland just as you do. So we are an active part of the community because we live here and we support what we're doing in the state of Maryland. The program overview, and this is just kind of a 4 quick step process, right? But step 1 is once we determine what a violation is going to be in College Park, our technology detects what that violation is. It's sent to our internal team, so we have an internal team in California that reviews every potential violation from every camera that we have deployed in the U.S. So sent to our internal team review. If it's in fact a violation, we forward it into our law enforcement portal so the local team here in College Park can also review it and then decide whether a citation will be issued for that violation. Okay? Again, not every violation becomes a citation. So it's really up to the parameters that we put into place. And again, the Rockville numbers were mind-blowing to me. 3,000 citations on a monthly basis is a lot, but 22,000 events is even more. So the violation is detected, and then the violation is processed. Once law enforcement goes in and they get the view of here's the violation, here's the vehicle, here's the tag number, here's the video evidence associated with that potential violation, they go in to approve it, and then ultimately once they review each violation and they approve or void it, because they also have the power to go, no, this isn't a violation, or a violation that we would send a citation. So once they either approve or void it, then the citation is processed on our end. So once it's approved, we create the citation, we mail it, we handle all of that for you locally in College Park. So you don't have to have resources that should be out addressing other public safety concerns, sending out violations and citations. We take care of all of that from a support standpoint. And then the citizen can either pay the violation because they can log in, they can see the video, they can exactly see what they did in the vehicle, and then they can either pay it or contest it. The one thing is this goes to the registered owner of the vehicle, not necessarily who's driving it. Because from privacy perspective, we're not taking any pictures of front windshields or people within the vehicle. we are doing back. We do license plate from the rear and how they proceed through the intersection and the stop sign. So the citation actually goes to the vehicle owner, not necessarily the individual that's driving in. So we're not doing facial recognition. We're not doing, because I know there's a lot of privacy concerns around cameras. This goes based upon license plate, registration, and then ultimately who the vehicle owner within the state of Maryland is. And then ultimately, if we also support the city to go to court, so you don't have officers off the street going into court for citations, we actually send Wade, which is our program director here in Maryland. He goes to court every week to discuss violations, to discuss video, whatever is needed, and whether it's, the citation is contested or not. So we handle all of that. Once we receive the court date, we schedule, we go, we testify, we bring video evidence. So that's kind of a burden that's not on the local police department here. And this is a lot, so I won't go through all of it, but ultimately, here's what our program includes. Community engagement, so we do a lot on social media, website, press releases, direct mailers, newspaper, wrapping our polls, events, flyers, and it's not lost that this is the number one thing that our program offers. It's about community. It's about being part of the community and changing the behavior to make the community safer. So community engagement is large for us. And then ultimately, yes, from an operational standpoint, you have the citation process. So again, the citation is created, it's mailed. If there's delinquency, we handle that. And then ultimately we flag it from, and then there is a support line. So there's a support line that you can call in, or the citizen can call in and get help from our support team 24/7. And then the violation is processed. So we handle anything that you need from a hardware perspective 24/7. We monitored. We do live monitoring on our system, and we do live health checks on our system. So if a camera goes down, we're notified, we can come out. We've had very few of that, though we did have one or two incidents of somebody trying to damage the camera. So, we're not immune to that either. But it's really hard when you're trying to climb a pole and there's a camera. So it's probably not the smartest move, but we've had a couple of those things. So we get live updates and health updates on every camera on our system, so we can make sure that we address it, come out and change it. And since I'll have a lot of our employees based in Maryland, it's very, very quick for us to do. So there's no downtime. And then ultimately, we handle all of that violation processing for you, as well as then the court process of court scheduling, docket management, court attendance, and record management. And then on a monthly basis, we send a report to the admin staff here that's designated to go through line item by line item. Here's how many events we've had. Here's how many violations. Here's the program. Here's what it is. Here's the revenue generated from it, and so we go through that review and management on a monthly basis with every one of our clients. So. And that's it from my perspective. I mean, I'm more than happy to answer any questions, but just know that we are part of the College Park community. We're here to help. We're here to support. But our number one goal is to make it safer.
Okay, Craig, thank you so much for doing this presentation for all of us.
Sure.
I think it would be helpful for the whole group, the group here as well as remotely connected here. I saw the sheet that you shared. I believe that data came from the previous pilot program and whatnot. So do you have some numbers of what we have done in the last 2.5 weeks that we are doing warnings, like what the data is, what we have done so far?
The only data that I have, and I can have Wade pull the report because I don't have it with me on my presentation, is there's been 207 warning letters sent out that would reach the criteria of a violation.
And that was almost in 2.5 weeks so far?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, somewhere like a little over 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Okay, so having said that, I think for the benefit of the people, it will also be good if you share low, medium, and egregious or high violation. Give people an example so that people have more clarity and it become more obvious for them. Because obviously, we have put this notice on our website, all our residents, business owners, they are reading it, and they have a lot of questions. They have come back to the, council members, their neighborhood, association presidents, and their leadership within those each individual units. I think it will be helpful.
Yeah, number one, I will say an event is anything that is counter to what the Maryland state law is. So the Maryland state law is you come to a full stop behind if there is a designated line. Some areas there's not designated line, but come to a full stop at the stop sign. That's what I would call a violation event. Okay. Now the citation perspective is really, and we work with you, and I know I'm sure we have gone through the parameters of what a violation is. The tolerance for that is really unique to every community that we have. So we have some people that are tolerant of, hey, they've come up, they've tapped the brakes, they've slowed down, and then they proceeded through the stop sign.
Okay.
So that would be the lesser of the violation. The most egregious violations that I've seen is no stop, maintaining speed, run the stop sign.
Okay, thank you, Craig. I think Mr. Ed Daniel, he has been able to pull out some data I would like him to share with the group here.
So, just to follow up, the warning period officially started operationally on February 16th. Since February 16th, the website indicates that there have been a total of 522 violations between over the course of the last week and a half, because February is a shortened month. So far there have been a total of 522 total violations. 207 warnings have been issued, and then the website or the portal basically breaks down the number of violations, the number of citations that are awaiting review by an officer, and then as it was pointed out, the number of events that have been rejected. So it provides an overview with regards to the total interaction with the various locations.
So it's approximately about a 50% ratio to violation to citation.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably average, maybe a little higher.
Okay.
And it can go even by stop sign. But
Yeah, I think at this time, Craig, we also got to keep track of time here. So I want to give the opportunities to the folks online, and then we will come back here, the physically present people here.
yeah, and I'll be here. So
Sharon, would you?
So I see we have two hands raised. We'll start with Ms. Hartnett and then Ms. Teresa, and we have quite a few questions and comments in the chat. But Ms. Hartnett, if you'd like to go ahead, please.
Yes, I understand there's a fine for these violations. Who sets the fine? Each local jurisdiction determines what the fine will be?
no, it's set by the state of Maryland legislation, whatever the House bill legislation amount is for stop sign. For stop
Or a
sign.
stop sign.
Yeah,
And-
it's different for speeding and red light because it's a graduated scale now in Maryland, but for stop sign, it's a flat fee.
And if I understand right, there's nothing now about the crosswalks. You mentioned Montgomery County was going to look into this. Is there a state ordinance about not stopping at these flashing crosswalk lights? Sorry.
That's right. No, you are correct. So there's not a statewide initiative for crosswalk, and that has a tendency to go county by county. So Montgomery County is looking at it as well as Anne Arundel to start enforcing crosswalk, because I think we've all been there on a crosswalk where you're hesitant to step off into the crosswalk before you look, and then even as you're walking through the crosswalk, your head's kind of on a swivel. So we are seeing even equal to egregious events and behaviors in crosswalk as we are in stop sign and potentially even red light.
And just one final comment, there is a stop sign where I would say at least 80% of the people blow through, and it's at Blackfoot Road and the Rhode Island Avenue service road. No one stops there. And the gentleman who was surprised about how high the rate was, I'm sure there's a lot of other stop signs in College Park that are the exact same way. But
Yeah.
thank you for your information.
No, I would encourage that once the violations and that we get out of the warning period, right? Just go to Let's Drive Safer, and maybe you can, if not, we can do some more marketing. Go to the citizen portal. I know it seems kind of crazy that 80% of the traffic can blow through a stop sign. It's there in black and white, and in our case, color video. It's amazing the total number of events and the just lack of stopping or even attempting to stop in some of these. And unfortunately, some of them are in school zones. So, because that was what most of the deployment in PG County was initially, was for school zones. So, but yeah, it's, take a look at it. It's public knowledge. Any other questions?
Yeah, we have several more.
Sure.
Sorry, I'm going to go back to Christine before.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I actually had a similar question I think that Todd asked is, are these being reviewed by a human first? But my number one, actually, you can answer that. That's a yes or no. Are these being reviewed by a human first, or is it all automated?
No, it's being reviewed by our staff, all human, and then to law enforcement.
Okay. Then my major question is, where is the evidence? Can you point to evidence, studies performed by people that did not have a direct financial interest, showing the effect of implementing this automated stop sign enforcement with cameras? I did a quick search this afternoon. It was definitely not exhaustive. I was unable to find any independent research studies showing the effect, positive or negative. Can you point us to where this is? My main concern is that I think we're all agreeing that we want a safe neighborhood. We want a safe city. I think there's no doubt about that. Mm-hmm. I'm concerned about whether or not this is the way to do it, because I have a feeling it's going to be mostly revenue generating. And that, anyway, can you point us to some independent studies showing the effects of these cameras? Not speed, not about red lights, about specifically about stop signs.
Yeah, I'm more than happy to gather that information and circulate it after the meeting. I can tell you that PG County was at the forefront, not only within the state of Maryland, but nationwide for stop sign enforcement. So the data that we have is coming from mostly the state of Maryland, but we just did one of the largest traffic studies with a nonprofit organization called Bike Colorado in Pueblo, and the numbers were staggering. So I know there's a lot of advocacy groups within the state of Maryland, along with in other communities, that have done traffic studies. More than happy to grab that and submit that into the admin folks here, and then they can distribute it. So yeah.
Okay, two things. One thing is, when you're saying you're doing studies, your company's doing studies with other groups, to me, that's not people that don't have a financial interest. Anything that a company is on is not independent research.
Yeah, no. So Bike Colorado did their own traffic study. They went out and did cameras, got their own cameras to do it. And then they actually came to us because they didn't believe their numbers. Okay. And they said, this can't be correct. Could you guys do it? And so we did. And I don't know, Christine, I don't know the exact number of cameras, but it was an exhaustive study through the entire state of Colorado, not just one county. But more than happy to share that as well.
Yeah, Christine, I think we acknowledge your question, and we will probably get back with you after doing a true research on your question.
And Christine, just one.
And then the last thing I want to say is, by issuing these by mail, you're putting everyone, at least in my neighborhood in Hollywood, at risk of having unpaid citations. Anything that's depending on the Postal Service delivery in our neighborhood is absolutely freaking ridiculous. There's no guarantee that we will ever see those citations.
Understood. We would love to do it electronically, and we've looked into potentially doing that through the letsdrivesafer.com, but there is a legislative side of this as well that we have to follow what the House bill says. So some of that is not necessarily our preference, but it's just the way that we have to do it. But Christine, I'll get you some data and submit it into the group as well. I can tell you, and one that I will point to is I attended a traffic symposium through District 11 in Baltimore City. So they were doing, which is the Federal Hill District, which is actually where I live down by the harbor. They're doing exhaustive traffic studies, especially around crosswalk and stop sign enforcement. So I can connect you. Their president is very, very vocal and very visible in the city of Baltimore around this topic. So I know they've done some studies as well independently. Great question.
Yeah, please go with the next person. I think Todd Rizzo has his hand up.
Thank you. And thank you for the presentation, and thank you to the city for, engaging in some way to make things safer. Just a very specific variation on my question. Is it correct that a citation would be issued only if local law enforcement approves it?
That is correct.
And
so we do the initial review, and then we send it to our law enforcement partner to review and then apply their test to whether it's a violation so they can approve it or reject it before a citation is created.
And in this case, this is a city program. Would it be a Prince George's County officer who does it or a city staff member who does it?
Todd, to respond to your question, whether it's a warning or a ticket, it has to be reviewed by our contract police officers who are on the city rolls, but they are in reality PG County police officers. Until or unless they confirm and they put their signs on the ticket, it doesn't become effective at all.
Great, thank you.
So they have the final say.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
Mr. Roby, Stephen, I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead, Stephen.
Thank you, Bustle. I appreciate the presentation. I work in medicine, and we've run into a lot of issues, obviously, with public trust. And one of the issues that we ran into, for example, was perceived benefits for things such as vaccines, just throwing it out there as an example. You seem to make the assertion that the intent of this type of a procedure, this program, is to enhance public safety. And you made a very particular point to say that your primary goal is not to just issue citations or generate revenue. However, I couldn't help but notice that the only objective measures that you presented for the effectiveness of your program was the number of citations and the revenue generated. So my initial question would be, is there actual concrete safety data, crashes, mortality, injury, pedestrian injury, that has been shown to be improved by these types of programs? And if not, is there any qualitative studies that show that the perception of safety has been enhanced?
Yeah, so one of in my graph that I showed, yes, there has been $1.6 million generated, but my focus was the number of violations that started when we started to deploy cameras and the 65 to 80% reduction in that behavior over a period of 4 months. So that's the trend that we've seen now through 13 different communities.
So you're using the number of citations as a surrogate measure for safety, correct?
Yeah, as a behavior change, what would be considered a violation based upon Maryland state law, and then the number of events. I'll use the term events, not citations, but events. Because ultimately, all of those events are not citations.
Understood. Has that metric ever been associated with improvements in safety outcomes?
Yeah, so I can pull data for you and I'll submit it to what we've seen since the deployment. And again, keep in mind, this House bill, we've been doing this now for a year and a half.
What are the safety outcomes, sir?
No, so what I've seen is the reduction of events, which would be considered unsafe events.
I understand. Have those been correlated with negative safety outcomes?
Yeah.
Crashes, injuries? Is there any of that data in existence?
Yeah, I will pull data for you. Again, I don't have it off the top of my head, but I will look into it. And if I don't find data, I'll be honest and say, yeah, no, we've seen a reduction of events, but we haven't seen a reduction in a year and a half.
But specifically, your events are the citations that are issued, correct?
No. The events are what would be considered a violation under the law of the state of whatever the law for the state of Maryland is. Not necessarily what a citation was driven by.
So the implication there is that there doesn't seem to be, beyond that specific violation metric in association specifically with safety. I mean, the only reason I bring this up is that community trust is very important.
Sure.
And I think if we are coming out with this type of a program stating that the intent is to improve public safety, but the only metrics we're utilizing are violation metrics and money, then it's going to erode public trust in those institutions. And that's why it's very difficult for me as a medical provider to convince people to get vaccines that I know are in their best interest, because they do not see the perceived benefit in it. And all they see are the violation numbers and the money. And so I think that it would be useful that if we are trying to make this surrogate measure as an association with safety, we have some kind of data to support that assertion. Otherwise, it seems like it's at risk for a false equivalency fallacy. So I'm just putting that out there. I was curious if there was any data. I could find data on speed cameras and stop sign.
Yeah.
Not stop signs. I could find it for stop light violations and speed cameras. I found some actual hardpoint safety data, but I could not find anything for stop signs. Yeah. And then I just have one other question. Your company, do you guys have a vested financial interest in the number of citations issued, i.e., if a citation is issued, is a percentage of that money given back to your company or to the purveyor?
That is correct. Yeah, there is a percentage of the violation that comes back to us for administration, because we're doing mailing, creating the citation, we're supporting court. Yeah, so there is a piece of that violation, and I believe it's a 60-40 split or in College Park.
Yeah, that is correct.
So 60% of the violation or citation goes to College Park, and then 40% comes to us.
I mean, I would just say that there's a lot of issue there with the potential for risk of violating public trust potentially. I mean, if I look at DC, for example, they've had their Vision Zero for pedestrian safety for a decade. They print money in the District of Columbia with all these cameras, and yet every year their traffic fatalities seem to me to be either flat or rising. And so, again, it seems at risk for a false equivalency to say that this metric leads to better safety outcomes. I think it'd be nice to have that proof. But thank you so much. I appreciate you taking the time.
No, great question. More than happy to research and supply that data for you. Again, red light, stop sign are so new because we've literally started to deploy in early 2025. So the data set will be somewhat limited, but yeah, red light and speed have been out for a long period of time, but I will capture that data and supply it back to the...
It makes you wonder, right? Because the data you put forward, it sounds like we live in a post-apocalyptic war zone and people are flying around the streets and stuff like that. And, by the definition or letter of the law, coming to a complete stop, I understand that, but I don't think you can necessarily treat all those violations equally in terms of their risk or public safety hazard. But thank you very much. I appreciate it.
So I think, Craig, I do want to make a statement for Stephen's benefit. I believe that the spirit and intent of this law is to improve the behavior of a motorist going through these locations which are close to school system. That is in reality the spirit and intent of putting this legislation together. And I think that is how it was, pushed through the state level, and how it was the arguments were put before it was passed by the state. And we are not here to collect revenue or anything like that, but we are trying to improve motorist behavior, because if you don't follow the law correctly, and in many cases, absolutely, I think people just don't, act correctly. I can tell you one example, like here in City Hall, I have consciously for a couple of times when I'm having my lunch for about 20 minutes, I had seen almost 25, 26 vehicles going through, and more than 20 of them are violating. They don't stop. And this is just by my visual. I'm eating my food and just looking through the window how these people, and it happens right next to the City Hall, and outside.
I'm not objecting to it completely, Foslo. I'm not actually surprisingly completely against the idea of it. I question sometimes the intent, and I question the metrics in which are being used to define success. So, if I tell someone they quit smoking, I have data to show that they have at risk for cancer. I think that it would be helpful to convince and prevent the erosion of public trust that shows that there are actually definable safety outcomes. Maybe even just the perception of safety. That's important too. But I couldn't locate qualitative data for folks saying, I feel safer in this area now that I'm seeing these numbers on a graph or things like that. That could be helpful as well. I'm just curious if that data exists.
No, we appreciate your thoughts, and they are very, qualitative in nature. And all I can say at this time is I appreciate that. But we got other folks here on the remote connection who have some questions. James, Gavin, please go ahead. Floor is yours.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much for this opportunity to speak. And I wish to concur with Stephen and Christine. I have lived here 25 years. I have seen 0 fatalities. I see 0 need for this. This is not a safety concern of mine. Like the first speaker tonight, getting their car broken into. Violent crime is that safety thing. I strongly distrust the intent of this not being a purely financial gain to the city and to whoever owns a Viveo, whoever that is. We don't know. Whatever nation, state, rich person owns Viveo is getting 40% of this cut. This is a strong incentive to find data that may not be there. It's a very strong incentive to say it's for the children. I raised my child here. He's 19 now. He was fine. He did not need a stop sign safety camera to get him through his childhood. This is outrageous, egregious privacy concern, because once the College Park Council can modify a behavior of a stop sign, what next will they do? Is it going to be at 65 years old, I'm not going to be allowed to be on the street? We're gonna have a camera that says, no, you can't be on the street. It's past 8 p.m. and you're 65. We think you vote Republican. We're going to fine you for that because we're the College Park Council. This is where I live now, and I know you people, and I know this community, and I have 0 trust that this is the last thing. They may do crosswalks next, then they will do crosswalks for pedestrians. It will always be for the safety, it'll be for the children, but it's going to be about the money, because you're going to want a bigger city hall, you want more employees on staff, and this is just egregious. We don't need this. If you want to modify the behavior, do so with a citation for only 15 or 20 miles an hour going through the sign. But I know you're not going to do that because Viveo wants the money, and they're going to strongly incentivize you to bring it down to 2-3 miles an hour. That's all I got to say tonight. I concur with the other 2 speakers, and this is going to modify my move out of College Park as soon as I retire. because this is getting ridiculous. What is the next camera going to be for? Who is it going to benefit? And what crazy modifiers will College Park try and behaviors will College Park think they are entitled to modify of their citizens? Thank you. Good night.
Thank you, Mr. Gavin. I appreciate your thoughts. So, is there anybody else on remotely connected who still have questions? Otherwise, I'm going to come to the folks here.
Mr. Gavin, you had quite a few comments in the chat. Were you able to get responses based on the
Yes, I was.
conversation? Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah. I have no doubt this is going to happen, and there's nothing I can do about it.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Are there any questions in the room?
Yeah, I think.
I need you to use the microphone next to you, please.
Is this one working? Oh, okay. Well, it's interesting you guys talk about these things, but when I was a young kid, I was trained when you come to an intersection walking, all right, the first thing you do is stop and you look to make sure that if there are any cars coming, you wait for the cars to go by before you step out in the middle of the road. Today, we don't do that. Today, we're on our cell phones. We're coming down the street. We get to the intersection. We don't even look to see if there's a car coming, and we walk right out. Why is that? Well, cars have to stop for us. Yeah, but the car weighs 20,000 pounds. What do you think happens when you're under it? And this is a problem. I see it in college. I've been here 51 years now. I see these college students constantly on the cell phones, walking down the street in groups, talking to one another. They get to the curb. They don't even look to see if a car's coming. I'm just really shocked that we haven't had more people hit by vehicles in College Park than we have. Thank you.
I would agree. Let's be specific. We're talking about stop sign cameras, not crosswalk cameras.
It doesn't make any difference to most people whether there's a stop sign or a red light there. They're going to walk across that intersection without paying any attention to whether there's any traffic coming because the traffic is supposed to stop for them.
Well, it's the law.
Yeah.
It's the assumption of the citizen that the other citizen will actually abide by the law to stop. And that's what we're trying to enforce because that behavior isn't happening.
Yeah, but the behavior that I'm talking about is from mostly these are students here we're talking about, that they just walk across the intersection without really giving any concept to the vehicles that are there. Okay, the vehicles are stopping. Maybe, yes, most of them do. As far as I know, they all do. But that doesn't mean that the students should just walk right out in front of them. And that's what's happening.
Okay, thank you, David. We appreciate your thoughts. Maria, please go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you for your presentation. I appreciate it. Just real quick question. You had said earlier that there's no picture taken of the person that's driving the car.
That's correct.
But is the VIN number on the car taken?
No, just
Okay.
license plate.
Just the license plate. Thank you.
And make and model of the vehicle so we can, yeah.
Thank you. I think it would be helpful for everyone to know what the justification is for making a complete stop sign. I know in the town of Berwyn Heights, I've gotten one citation which I had to pay for, but from the same camera, that your company owns. And basically mine was a stop for 2 seconds and then, I got ticketed for that. So that is not considered a complete stop. So I think if you can confirm a complete stop is stopping for at least 3 seconds before you even hit that white line. Otherwise, is that what you all qualify if you stop over the white line? And even if you do make a complete stop, if you've passed that white line, then you will be issued a ticket. So I think,
So let me be clear.
yeah, the clarity on that.
It does not set any legislation or laws within the state of Maryland. So the definition of a stop is actually determined by the state of Maryland legislation, right? So, but it is behind the white line to a full stop.
Yeah, Craig, I think I'm going to let Sergeant Wynkoop.
Yeah. Yeah.
In reference to the stop sign, all wheels must stop motion. There's not a set time second And with the College Park program, that is why the contract police will be reviewing it and making the final decision whether a citation is issued or not. Therefore, we have officer discretion whether you rolled through it or you stopped in the middle of the intersection. And once you cross the white line, that becomes an issue.
And we can set speed thresholds as well if the agency wants to do that, right? So if the agency said, hey, anything under 4 miles an hour, we're not going to generate a violation and citation for, we can do that as well.
Yeah. Thank you. So first of all, I want to thank everyone who came to this meeting, and that's the whole purpose of having this meeting. There are other jurisdictions, they just rolled out the cameras, and later on people started asking why I'm getting tickets, and we do not want that to happen. That is the reason to have this meeting, so that the community can come in and they can ask questions. And these are all very good questions, honestly speaking. In the morning, I send out the information about this event to the couple of listservs, and I'm glad that many of the community members asked these questions, and they came tonight and asked for the answers. And I'm glad that that you have you'll be giving us back with some answers, some data. And once I have those data, I will definitely share with the community listservs in public and continue the conversation. Again, this is not about, as far as I know, and my colleagues are on the city council, to make money. And the state regulation, the state laws are very, very restrictive where this money can go in. I was told this money cannot even go to support law enforcement, even only to improve public safety in the areas of pedestrian safety, like building sidewalks or crosswalks and that kind of stuff. So it's a very, very narrow and very limited scope we have where this revenue can go in. So it is not really a revenue generating program. But thank you again for coming out and asking those questions. I appreciate that.
And you can check that. All you have to do is Google the House bill number 364 and it'll give you very, very specifics, because you're correct. The state of Maryland is very, very defined on what the money can be spent on and exactly how the legislation was created.
So Craig, I think I got to pay attention to time as well. I think Jamie Lork had a question, and that would be okay. Oh, we see another question remotely connected here. Okay, go ahead, Jamie.
Hi, thank you for the presentation. My question is, so how were these locations selected? I was thinking they were going to be near schools. The intersection of Muskogee and 48th Place, we're very near Hollywood Elementary School. There is specifically a white van every morning that he doesn't even make an attempt to stop. We're probably about 90% don't stop at our intersection. So I was just wondering how these locations were selected, and if more locations are going to be, more cameras are going to be placed.
I'll let
Yeah.
Thank you.
If I
Okay.
one thing. So one, yes, in other communities, and I'm sure College Park has done this as well, we've done an initial rollout of approved sites, but I'm working with New Carrollton now. I think they're rolling out 20, and they have 80 potential locations, right? So I think it's just initiation of the program and then growth afterwards.
So, okay, Jamie, that's a great question, but I'll just do it very briefly, and then I can expand one-on-one later on. We started with 15 locations. We came to 9 locations, then we came to 7, and then ultimately we came to 5. Within that process, we had taken to a subset of Planning Commission, Advisory Planning Commission, which is BPAC, Bike and Pedestrian Action Committee. And then we also did some, counting of all the violation that exists. through those pilot locations. And then there was a feasibility study also done by Avio. And all those things were utilized to hone in on final 5 locations. That is how we selected them. And my understanding is all of these 5 locations either have a school or some sort of child care or some location close to it. That is how that location gets justified. Otherwise, we cannot justify that location. So it has all been legally vetted, followed through a basic core technical process. And I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, like I said, there's been accidents in the past at that intersection. There's a lot of kids that walk to Hollywood Elementary there. The one neighbor did clear his corner, so it's a little more visible intersection. But like I said, every morning, I know there's one specific van that doesn't even attempt to slow down. And with the fact that we've had accidents there where a car actually ended up in my driveway or in my yard because it didn't stop.
Okay, so I think for that particular, stance, I'm going to ask Sergeant Weinkoop to look into the details of it. So having said that, I want to give Mr. Jacob Hernandez the floor for his question.
No, hey, it's not much of a question, but it really is to capture some of the concerns that the residents have had. I hear and understand why people think that this might be some sort of revenue stream capturing. I think that being charged by the city feels punitive. I think to the mayor's point, to other people's point, it is an attempt and an effort to do public safety or to increase public safety. My concern or my question is who's going to be reviewing the tickets? Is it going to be the city that public services, or does it have to be a police officer? And if it is a police officer, is that taking someone from typical beat patrol to have to review the parking or these stop sign tickets?
Okay, so I think it's a great question, Jacob. All these things are, whether it's like a warning or a citation, the final decision has to be taken by our contract police program officers. And I think if I understand it correctly, maybe 9 or 10 of them have already been trained. They have been going through the portal on a regular basis during the course of day, and they are monitoring. They are into knee deep into decision making and learning the aspects for them. And they are the one who make the final decision. I do believe that we had opportunity from state law that we could give it to a private review officer to do it. But it was our operational decision here in the city as Public Services Department in consultation with our program lead, Deputy Chief Kaladi, and some of his team members. And we took the approach that we're going to leave because it is a part of our automated enforcement system. Just like, speed enforcement or red light camera or any other new things that may come to our forefront. But this is the third piece of our existing automated enforcement program. And to be fair and consistent and be transparent, I think the best way for us was to let it, go through the law enforcement officer, which is our contract police officers. I hope this answers your question, Jacob.
It does answer my question, and I think it might be a concern I take back to council because I think a couple residents raised this, if they're reviewing these tickets, how much is that taking from the resources that would be out in the streets to help prevent some of or even deter some of the crimes that are happening? It'll be a conversation I have later with my colleagues. It's just, I wanted to better understand that. And it's good to fully be aware that people are reviewing it. That it has to be our contract officers that are doing it. So thank you.
Yeah, to be specific, I think we will be discussing that on April 10th or that Saturday. I am already anticipating that question will come to us, and we will be ready to respond to that question, Jacob.
And I know there is flexibility in the state of Maryland for non-sworn to do that task now. It used to be just sworn officers, but there is. I'd also like to address one thing because, about this being a revenue generating program. Yes, there is revenue that's generated by it. But from a behavior standpoint, we're working with our agencies, and I know you only have 5 locations, but we have other agencies that have multiple locations of cameras that aren't turned on. So what we're doing is once we see a behavioral shift in a certain area, we'll turn that camera on and off and turn another camera on in another area that needs to be addressed. So that's the flexibility that our system and our solution has, and that's our mantra is once we see that 65 to 80% reduction in an area, that camera may not stay on. You can turn that camera off and ultimately turn another camera on in another area. So that, again, we're not just sitting there ticketing the 25 or 30% that remaining that the behavior hasn't changed yet.
Thank you. I think it's time for us to move on to the last item, which may take probably not more than 10 minutes in any case. I want to give the...
Good evening. I only have a couple of things to comment on. The Purple Line is continuing to make progress. They are doing test runs through the area of College Park during the nighttime hours. So that's a project that's still making progress, and pretty much that's the main topic that I wanted to address.
Thank you, Ed. Appreciate it. I do understand from our sergeant that Captain Kyle Benson is here also online. I would appreciate if he can give a brief introduction to the group here. Kyle, floor is yours.
Hi, good evening. My name is Captain Kyle Benson. I'm the patrol commander in our Hyattsville District 1 station. I've been there since December. Just happy to be here. I know some of you all I've met in person, and I'll be out in the community, and many thanks to Sergeant Weinkoop, and I know Deputy Chief Cletty's on the call, and I believe Major Thomas Boone is also on the call as well.
Thank you, Captain. I think it's time for us to culminate this meeting, and I think the feedback was really great, and I appreciate everyone's input to it. That is how we get better through that feedback, and it's a very valued feedback that I have heard today. Thank you, everyone. You all have a great night. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Kabir.
Thank you.